What if every challenge you faced was an opportunity to grow stronger? That's the question at the heart of Stoic philosophy, and it's one that has shaped the lives of some of history's most resilient minds. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." These words capture the essence of Stoicism, a philosophy that doesn't just endure hardship but sees it as a catalyst for growth. Today, we're diving into how Stoics turn challenges into opportunities, offering you 25 practical ways to apply this ancient wisdom to your own life. Whether you're facing a personal setback, a professional hurdle, or simply the everyday stresses of life, this video will show you how to reframe adversity as a path to strength and clarity. So let's explore how the Stoics teach us to not only survive challenges but thrive because of them. Stoics believe that obstacles are not barriers but stepping stones. This idea lies at the core of a powerful Stoic principle called Amor, Fati, a Latin phrase meaning love of fate. It's about embracing everything life throws at you, not just enduring it, but welcoming it as an essential part of your journey. Challenges in the Stoic view are opportunities to practice virtues like courage, patience, and resilience. They're not random punishments or setbacks, they're invitations to grow. As Epictetus once said, difficulties are things that show what men are. It's in the face of adversity that we discover our true strength and character. Imagine losing your job unexpectedly. At first, it might feel like a devastating blow, but a Stoic would see it differently. Instead of dwelling on what's been lost, they'd ask, "What can I gain from this?" Perhaps it's a chance to explore a new career path, learn new skills, or even start a business you've always dreamed of. The obstacle becomes the way forward, a catalyst for transformation. This mindset shift doesn't mean ignoring the difficulty. It means finding the hidden potential within it. So, what challenge in your life could you start seeing as an opportunity? Maybe it's a relationship struggle, a health issue, or even a financial setback. The key is to ask yourself, how can this situation help me grow? By reframing your perspective, you begin to see obstacles not as roadblocks but as tools for building a stronger, wiser version of yourself. This is the essence of Stoicism, turning every challenge into a stepping stone toward a more resilient and purposeful life. Stoics teach us that true power lies in focusing on what we can control. This principle, known as the dichotomy of control, is one of the most transformative ideas in Stoic philosophy. It divides life into two categories: things within our power, our thoughts, actions, and choices, and things beyond it, like the opinions of others, the weather, or unexpected events. By understanding this distinction, we can stop wasting energy on what we can't change and instead direct our efforts toward what we can influence. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, put it beautifully when he said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Much of our anxiety comes from obsessing over outcomes we can't control, rather than focusing on the steps we can take right now. Think about a situation like preparing for a job interview. You might worry about whether the interviewer will like you or if someone more qualified will get the job. These are concerns outside your control, but what is within your power? You can research the company, practice your responses, and present yourself confidently. By shifting your focus to these actionable steps, you not only reduce stress but also increase your chances of success. The Stoics remind us that while we can't control the result, we can always control how we prepare and respond. This mindset doesn't just apply to big moments like interviews, it's equally powerful in everyday life. Take something as simple as traffic. You can't control how long the line of cars will be, but you can decide how you'll use that time. Maybe it's an opportunity to listen to an audiobook, reflect on your day, or simply practice patience. When we redirect our attention to what's in our hands, we reclaim our power and reduce the frustration that comes from trying to change the unchangeable. So, what's one thing you're worrying about that's outside your control? It could be a relationship issue, a financial concern, or even global events. The next time you catch yourself fixating on it, pause and ask, what part of this can I actually influence? By focusing on those areas, you'll not only feel more empowered but also take meaningful steps forward. This is the Stoic way, turning chaos into clarity by anchoring yourself in what you can control. What if preparing for the worst could help you appreciate the present? This might sound counterintuitive, but it's a practice the Stoics called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. The idea is simple yet profound. By imagining the worst-case scenarios, you not only prepare yourself to face them, but also cultivate a deeper sense of gratitude for what you already have. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most famous practitioners, would begin his days by reminding himself, "Today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness." He didn't do this to dwell on negativity, but to arm himself with resilience and clarity. By anticipating challenges, he could meet them with calmness and purpose rather than fear or surprise. Think about it like this: if you've ever rehearsed for a difficult conversation or planned for a potential setback, you've already practiced a form of negative visualization. The Stoics took this a step further, using it as a daily mental exercise to build emotional strength. For example, imagine a project you're working on fails completely. What would that look like? How would you respond? By visualizing this scenario, you're not inviting failure. You're preparing yourself to handle it with grace and adaptability. This mental rehearsal helps you detach from the fear of the unknown and focus on solutions rather than panic. But there's another layer to this practice: gratitude. When you imagine losing something, whether it's a job, a relationship, or even your health, you suddenly become more aware of its value. The Stoics believed that reflecting on life's fragility wasn't morbid, it was a way to savor the present moment. By acknowledging that everything we have is temporary, we learn to cherish it more deeply. It's like holding a glass of water and realizing how precious it is, not when you're thirsty, but before you've even taken a sip. So, what's one challenge in your life that you could prepare for using negative visualization? Maybe it's a difficult conversation you've been avoiding or a goal that feels uncertain. Picture the worst-case scenario, not to dwell on it, but to equip yourself with the mental tools to navigate it. How would you respond? What steps could you take to adapt and move forward? By practicing this Stoic exercise, you'll find that fear loses its grip and gratitude takes its place. It's not about expecting the worst, it's about being ready for anything and finding peace in the process. Resilience isn't about avoiding pain, it's about enduring it with strength. This is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, where challenges are seen not as burdens but as opportunities to fortify the mind and spirit. The Stoics believed that adversity is the forge in which character is shaped, and the harder the trial, the stronger you become. As Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple yet profound idea shifts the focus from external circumstances to internal power. When life throws a curveball, the Stoics remind us that our response is the only thing truly within our control. Consider the story of someone who loses a loved one unexpectedly. The pain is immense and grief can feel overwhelming. Yet, through the lens of Stoicism, this experience becomes a chance to cultivate resilience. It's not about denying the pain or pretending it doesn't exist, it's about facing it head-on, allowing yourself to feel it fully, and then finding ways to move forward with purpose. This process of enduring and growing through hardship is what builds true mental toughness. It's not about being unaffected by life's difficulties, but about learning to navigate them with grace and strength. A practical example of this can be seen in overcoming a professional setback, like being passed over for a promotion. The initial reaction might be disappointment or even self-doubt. But a Stoic approach would involve reframing the situation. What can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to improve myself? Perhaps it's a chance to develop new skills, seek feedback, or even explore a different career path that aligns more closely with your passions. By focusing on growth rather than failure, you transform the setback into a stepping stone. So, how can you use your next challenge to build resilience? Start by acknowledging the difficulty without letting it define you. Ask yourself, what can this teach me? Or how can I grow from this? Resilience isn't something you're born with, it's a skill you develop through practice. Each challenge you face is an opportunity to strengthen that skill, to become more adaptable, more patient, and more courageous. The Stoics teach us that the path to resilience isn't easy, but it's always worth it. By embracing adversity as a teacher, you not only endure life's storms but emerge from them stronger and more grounded than ever before. Stoics remind us that success isn't about outcomes, it's about how we approach the process. This principle is at the heart of what it means to detach from external results and focus instead on the effort itself. In a world that often measures worth by achievements, Stoicism offers a refreshing perspective. True fulfillment comes not from what we accomplish, but from how we engage with the journey. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, captured this idea perfectly when he said, "The wise man is neither raised up by prosperity nor cast down by adversity." In other words, the Stoic finds stability and peace not in the highs and lows of external events, but in the consistency of their own character and effort. Detaching from outcomes doesn't mean giving up on goals or abandoning ambition. It's about shifting your focus to what you can control: your actions, your attitude, and your commitment, while letting go of the rest. This mindset reduces frustration because it frees you from the roller coaster of emotions tied to results. Whether you succeed or fail, you remain grounded in the knowledge that you gave it your all. Imagine working on a competitive project at work. Instead of fixating on whether you'll get the promotion or recognition, you focus on doing your best work, learning new skills, and growing as a professional. The outcome may be uncertain, but the value of your effort is guaranteed. This approach also fosters peace of mind. When you're not constantly chasing results or fearing failure, you can approach challenges with a sense of calm and clarity. Think of it like planting a tree. You can water it, give it sunlight, and nurture it, but you can't control how quickly it grows or whether it bears fruit. The Stoic mindset teaches us to take pride in the care we provide, not the harvest we hope for. It's a liberating shift that allows you to enjoy the process without being consumed by the pressure of outcomes. So, what's one goal in your life where you can focus more on effort than results? Maybe it's a fitness goal, a creative project, or even a relationship. Instead of measuring your success by the scale, the number of likes, or the approval of others, consider how you're showing up each day. Are you putting in consistent effort? Are you learning and growing along the way? By shifting your attention to these questions, you'll find a deeper sense of satisfaction and resilience, no matter what the outcome may be. This is the power of Stoic detachment. It turns every effort into a victory, regardless of the result. What if every failure was a lesson in disguise? This is the Stoic perspective on setbacks, a way of seeing failure not as an ending, but as a beginning. The Stoics believed that mistakes, missteps, and even outright failures are some of life's most powerful teachers. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The obstacle is the way." In other words, the very things that block our path can become the path itself, if we're willing to learn from them. Instead of seeing failure as a reason to give up, the Stoics invite us to see it as an opportunity to grow wiser, stronger, and more resilient. Let's take a practical example, a failed relationship. At first glance, it might feel like a source of pain and regret, but through the Stoic lens, this experience becomes a treasure trove of lessons. What did it teach you about communication, about boundaries, about what you truly value in a partner? Every breakdown holds the seeds of a breakthrough if you're willing to reflect and learn. By asking, what went wrong and how can I do better next time, you turn heartache into a roadmap for healthier, more fulfilling connections in the future. This mindset applies to all areas of life, not just relationships. Think about a project that didn't go as planned, a business venture, a creative endeavor, or even a personal goal. Instead of seeing it as a dead end, ask yourself, what did this teach me about preparation, execution, or resilience? The Stoics remind us that failure isn't the opposite of success, it's a necessary part of it. Each setback is a chance to refine your approach, sharpen your skills, and deepen your understanding of what works and what doesn't. So, what's one failure in your life that you can reframe as a lesson? Maybe it's a missed opportunity, a mistake at work, or a personal goal you didn't achieve. Take a moment to reflect. What did it reveal about your strengths and weaknesses? How can you use that knowledge to move forward with greater clarity and purpose? By shifting your perspective, you transform failure from a source of shame into a tool for growth. This is the Stoic way, turning every setback into a stepping stone toward a wiser, more resilient version of yourself. Gratitude isn't just for the good times, it's a tool for navigating the hard ones. The Stoics understood this deeply, teaching that even in the midst of adversity, there's always something to be grateful for. It's not about ignoring the difficulty or pretending everything is fine. Instead, it's about shifting your focus to what remains, even when life feels overwhelming. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, put it this way: "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that gratitude isn't dependent on circumstances, it's a mindset we choose, especially when things don't go as planned. Think about a health challenge, for example. Facing an illness or injury can feel isolating and discouraging, but even in those moments, there's room for gratitude. Maybe it's the support of loved ones, the dedication of healthcare workers, or even the opportunity to slow down and reflect on what truly matters. By focusing on these small but meaningful blessings, you're not denying the difficulty, you're finding strength within it. Gratitude becomes a lifeline, pulling you out of despair and helping you see the light even in the darkest times. But how does this practice actually work? Gratitude shifts your perspective from what's missing to what's present. It's like turning on a flashlight in a dark room. Suddenly, you can see the tools and resources you have to move forward. This mental shift doesn't just make you feel better, it builds resilience. When you train your mind to look for the good, even in the bad, you become less reactive to life's ups and downs. You start to see challenges as opportunities to practice patience, courage, and appreciation. So, what's one thing you can be grateful for in your current challenge? Maybe it's the lessons you're learning, the people who are supporting you, or even the chance to grow stronger through the struggle. Take a moment to reflect on this question. Gratitude doesn't erase the hardship, but it does give you a way to navigate it with greater clarity and calm. It's a practice the Stoics used to transform adversity into a source of strength, and it's a tool you can use to do the same. When you choose gratitude, even in the hardest moments, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. Stoics teach us that the present moment is all we truly have. It's a simple idea, but one that carries profound weight. While the past is behind us and the future is uncertain, the present is the only space where we can act, think, and be fully alive. Marcus Aurelius captured this beautifully when he wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." He wasn't suggesting we ignore the lessons of the past or abandon planning for the future, but rather he was reminding us that our power lies in the here and now. By anchoring ourselves in the present, we free ourselves from the anxiety of what might happen and the regret of what already has. Think about it this way. How often do you find yourself replaying a past mistake or worrying about an upcoming deadline? These mental loops can drain your energy and cloud your clarity. The Stoics believed that much of our suffering comes from living anywhere but the present. When we focus on what's directly in front of us, we reduce the mental noise and create space for calm, purposeful action. It's not about ignoring challenges, it's about meeting them with full attention and presence. Consider a stressful workday, for example. Deadlines loom, emails pile up, and meetings stretch on. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, caught between what you should have done yesterday and what you need to do tomorrow. But what if, instead of racing ahead or looking back, you paused and focused on the task at hand? Maybe it's a single email, a 5-minute conversation, or even just taking a deep breath. By bringing your full attention to the present, you not only work more effectively but also reduce the stress that comes from juggling too many thoughts at once. This practice of presence isn't just about productivity, it's about peace. When you're fully engaged in the moment, you're less likely to be pulled into the whirlwind of what-ifs and should-haves. You become more attuned to the details of your experience, whether it's the sound of rain outside, the taste of your morning coffee, or the feeling of your feet on the ground as you walk. These small moments of awareness add up, creating a deeper sense of connection to your life as it unfolds. So, how can you bring more presence to your daily life? Start with something simple, like focusing on your breath for a few moments when you wake up, or truly listening when someone speaks to you. Notice when your mind starts to wander into the past or future and gently guide it back to the present. Over time, this practice becomes a habit, helping you navigate life with greater calm and clarity. The Stoic emphasis on the present moment isn't just a philosophical idea, it's a practical tool for living a more grounded, intentional life. By embracing the now, you reclaim your power and find peace in the midst of life's chaos. Everything changes. Stoics remind us to accept this truth. It's a simple yet profound idea that lies at the heart of their philosophy. The world is in a constant state of flux, and the more we resist this reality, the more we suffer. Seneca, one of Stoicism's greatest thinkers, put it this way: all things are born to change. He wasn't just talking about the seasons or the tides. He was pointing to something deeper, the inevitability of transformation in our own lives. Whether it's a career shift, a relationship ending, or even the aging process, change is the one constant we can count on. The Stoics teach us that instead of fighting it, we can learn to flow with it, finding peace in the process. Accepting impermanence doesn't mean giving up on what matters to us. It's about recognizing that holding on too tightly often leads to frustration and disappointment. Think of it like trying to grasp water in your hands. The harder you squeeze, the faster it slips away. The Stoic approach is to hold things lightly, appreciating them while they last without clinging to them. This mindset reduces resistance and fosters adaptability, allowing us to navigate life's twists and turns with greater ease. By embracing change, we open ourselves to new possibilities and experiences that we might otherwise miss. Consider a sudden life change, like moving to a new city. At first, it might feel disorienting, leaving behind familiar places, routines, and relationships, but a Stoic would see this as an opportunity to grow. Instead of dwelling on what's been lost, they'd focus on what's being gained: new connections, fresh perspectives, and the chance to explore uncharted territory. By accepting the impermanence of the old, they create space for the new, turning what could be a stressful experience into an adventure. So, what's one change you're resisting that you could accept? Maybe it's a shift in your personal life, a professional transition, or even a change in your own identity. Take a moment to reflect. What would it feel like to let go of the resistance and embrace the flow of life? By practicing this Stoic principle, you'll find that change becomes less of a threat and more of an ally, a natural part of the journey that helps you grow and evolve. Acceptance isn't about passivity, it's about finding strength in flexibility and peace in the ever-shifting landscape of life. What if every challenge was a chance to become a better version of yourself? This is the question at the heart of the Stoic approach to adversity. Instead of seeing obstacles as roadblocks, Stoics view them as opportunities for self-improvement. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity." His words remind us that challenges aren't just inevitable, they're essential. They test our character, push us out of our comfort zones, and ultimately help us grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. For the Stoics, adversity isn't something to avoid, it's something to embrace as a teacher. Think about a career setback, like being passed over for a promotion or losing a job. At first, it might feel like a crushing blow, but through the Stoic lens, this moment becomes an opportunity. Perhaps it's a chance to reevaluate your goals, learn new skills, or even pivot to a career that aligns more closely with your passions. The challenge isn't just an obstacle, it's a catalyst for growth. By reframing the situation, you shift from feeling powerless to recognizing the potential within it. This mindset doesn't erase the difficulty, but it does give you a way to navigate it with purpose and intention. The Stoics believed that adversity has a unique way of revealing who we truly are. It's easy to stay composed when life is smooth, but it's in the storms that our character is tested. Imagine facing a financial crisis. The stress and uncertainty can feel overwhelming, but it's also an opportunity to practice resilience, resourcefulness, and adaptability. By focusing on what you can control, budgeting, seeking new opportunities, or even reevaluating your priorities, you turn the challenge into a chance to build skills that will serve you long after the crisis has passed. So, how can your current challenge help you grow? Take a moment to reflect on what's in front of you. Maybe it's a relationship conflict, a health issue, or a personal goal that feels out of reach. Ask yourself, what can this teach me about patience, courage, or creativity? By reframing adversity as a tool for growth, you transform it from something to fear into something to embrace. The Stoics remind us that every challenge is an invitation to grow stronger, to learn deeper, and to become the best version of ourselves. When you see obstacles this way, you don't just survive them, you thrive because of them. Stoics believe that seeking discomfort prepares us for life's challenges. It might sound counterintuitive, but intentionally putting ourselves in uncomfortable situations is a powerful way to build resilience. This practice, known as voluntary discomfort, is about training the mind and body to endure hardship so that when life inevitably throws difficulties our way, we're ready to face them with strength and calm. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, advised, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare." His words remind us that by deliberately choosing to live with less, we cultivate gratitude and fortitude, making us less dependent on external comforts and more anchored in our inner strength. The idea isn't to punish ourselves but to prepare. Think of it like training for a marathon. You don't start by running 26 miles on day one, you build up to it, pushing your limits gradually. Voluntary discomfort works the same way. It's about small, intentional acts that challenge us, like skipping a meal to practice fasting, taking a cold shower to build mental toughness, or waking up an hour earlier to reclaim time for reflection or exercise. These practices might feel uncomfortable in the moment, but over time, they strengthen our ability to handle life's bigger challenges with grace and resilience. Consider the example of fasting. It's not just about physical discipline, it's a mental exercise in self-control. When you choose to skip a meal, you're not just training your body to endure hunger, you're teaching your mind to resist immediate gratification. This skill translates to other areas of life, like resisting the urge to procrastinate or staying focused on long-term goals despite short-term distractions. Similarly, cold showers might seem like a small act, but they're a powerful way to practice facing discomfort head-on. Each time you step into that cold water, you're reminding yourself that you can endure and even thrive in less than ideal conditions. So, what's one discomfort you can embrace to grow stronger? Maybe it's something as simple as turning off your phone for an hour to sit with your thoughts, or choosing to walk instead of drive when the weather isn't perfect. The key is to start small and build from there. By willingly stepping into discomfort, you're not just preparing for life's challenges, you're proving to yourself that you're capable of handling them. The Stoics teach us that resilience isn't something we're born with, it's something we cultivate through practice, and sometimes that practice begins with a cold shower or an empty stomach. By embracing voluntary discomfort, you're not just surviving life's storms, you're learning to dance in the rain. Stoics strive to remain unshaken, no matter what life throws their way. This unwavering calm isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. It's about cultivating a deep sense of inner peace that allows you to respond to challenges with clarity and purpose. The Stoic ideal of equanimity, often described as a steady mind, is about maintaining balance even in the face of chaos. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, captured this beautifully when he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." His words remind us that while we can't control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. This is the essence of equanimity, a calm, centered state that lets us navigate life's storms without losing our footing. But how does this work in practice? Equanimity isn't about avoiding difficult emotions or pretending to be unaffected by hardship. It's about acknowledging those feelings without letting them take over. Think of it like standing in the ocean. Waves will come, some gentle, some crashing, but you don't have to let them knock you down. Instead, you can learn to ride them, staying balanced and steady no matter how rough the waters get. This mindset fosters clarity, allowing you to make thoughtful decisions rather than reacting impulsively out of fear, anger, or frustration. Consider a situation like a heated argument with a loved one. Emotions run high, words are exchanged, and it's easy to get swept up in the moment. But what if, instead of reacting in anger, you paused and took a deep breath? What if you chose to listen rather than defend, to understand rather than attack? This is equanimity in action. It's not about being passive or indifferent. It's about responding with intention rather than reacting out of emotion. By maintaining your calm, you create space for resolution and understanding rather than escalating the conflict. The benefits of equanimity extend far beyond arguments. In the workplace, for example, staying composed under pressure can help you think more clearly, solve problems more effectively, and lead with confidence. In personal relationships, it fosters trust and connection, as others see you as a steady, reliable presence in their lives. Even in moments of personal crisis, equanimity gives you the strength to face challenges head-on without being overwhelmed by fear or despair. So, how can you cultivate more calm in your daily life? Start with small practices, like taking a few deep breaths when you feel your emotions rising, or pausing to reflect before responding to a difficult situation. Over time, these habits build into a deeper sense of inner peace, helping you stay grounded no matter what comes your way. The Stoics remind us that calm isn't something we're born with, it's something we cultivate through practice. By choosing to respond with equanimity, you not only navigate life's challenges more effectively, but also create a ripple effect of peace and stability in the world around you. This is the power of a steady mind. It transforms adversity into opportunity, chaos into clarity, and fear into freedom. Stoics believe that adversity is a mirror reflecting our true selves. When life gets tough, it doesn't just test our patience or resilience, it reveals what we truly value. Challenges strip away the superficial layers of our lives, showing us who we are at our core. As Epictetus once said, circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him. In other words, it's not the difficulty itself that defines us, but how we respond to it. Adversity has a way of exposing our priorities, our principles, and the strength of our character. It's in these moments that we see whether we're living in alignment with our deepest values or simply going through the motions. Think about a situation where you're faced with a moral dilemma. Maybe it's at work where cutting corners could lead to a quick win, but staying true to your integrity means doing the harder, right thing. Or perhaps it's in a relationship where honesty might risk conflict, but dishonesty would betray your values. These moments are tests not just of our choices, but of who we are. The Stoics believe that challenges like these are opportunities to practice virtue, to act with courage, honesty, and fairness, even when it's difficult. It's not about being perfect, but about striving to live in alignment with what matters most. Here's an example. Imagine you're part of a team working on a high-stakes project. The deadline is tight, and someone suggests taking shortcuts to meet it. You know that following through with integrity means putting in the extra effort, even if it means staying late or pushing back the deadline. What do? This is where your values come into play. Do you prioritize integrity over convenience? Do you choose the harder path because it aligns with who you want to be? These are the questions adversity forces us to confront, and they reveal the strength of our commitment to our principles. So, what values do your challenges reveal about you? Take a moment to reflect on a recent difficulty you faced. Did it bring out your patience, your honesty, or your compassion? Or did it highlight areas where you might want to grow? The Stoics saw adversity not as something to fear, but as a tool for self-discovery. By leaning into these moments, we gain clarity about who we are and what we stand for. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. After all, the greatest test of character isn't how we act when things are easy. It's how we rise to the occasion when they're not. Stoics remind us that we're not alone in our struggles. While their philosophy often emphasizes self-reliance and inner strength, it also recognizes the profound value of community and shared humanity. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "What is not good for the swarm is not good for the bee." This simple yet profound statement highlights the interconnectedness of our lives. Just as a bee thrives within a hive, we too find strength and purpose when we lean on others and contribute to the collective good. The Stoics believed that resilience isn't just about enduring hardship alone, it's about recognizing that we're part of something larger and that our challenges are often shared. Think about a time when you faced a personal crisis, a loss, a failure, or a moment of deep uncertainty. In those moments, it's easy to feel isolated, as if no one could possibly understand what you're going through. But the Stoics would remind us that adversity is universal. Every person at some point faces struggles that test their limits, and yet it's in these moments that we often discover the power of connection. Reaching out for support, whether it's a trusted friend, a family member, or even a community group, can provide not just comfort but also perspective. It's a reminder that our struggles, no matter how personal they feel, are part of the human experience. For example, imagine going through a difficult breakup. At first, you might withdraw, convinced that no one could truly understand your pain. But when you share your feelings with someone who's been through a similar experience, something shifts. Their empathy, their advice, even just their presence can help you see the situation in a new light. Suddenly, you're not just carrying the weight alone, you're sharing it, and in doing so, lightening the load. This is the power of community. It doesn't erase the pain, but it makes it more bearable. The Stoics also understood that supporting others is just as important as seeking support. When we extend a hand to someone in need, we're not just helping them, we're reinforcing our own resilience. Acts of kindness and solidarity remind us of our shared humanity, grounding us in the belief that we're all in this together. It's a reciprocal relationship. By giving, we receive. By supporting, we're strengthened. So, who can you turn to for support in your current challenge? Is there a friend, a mentor, or even a community that could offer guidance or simply a listening ear? And how might you, in turn, support someone else who's facing their own struggles? The Stoic emphasis on community isn't just about finding comfort, it's about building a network of mutual strength and understanding. When we connect with others, we not only navigate our challenges more effectively, but we also deepen our sense of purpose and belonging. In the end, it's this shared journey that makes the hardest moments a little easier to bear. Stoics believe that self-reflection is the key to growth. It's not just about looking back on your day, it's about understanding yourself more deeply, learning from your experiences, and making intentional choices moving forward. The Stoics were pioneers of this practice, using daily journaling and introspection as tools to cultivate wisdom and resilience. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most influential thinkers, urged, "Assess yourself daily." His words remind us that self-reflection isn't a one-time event but a lifelong habit, a way to continually refine our character and align our actions with our values. So, how does this work in practice? Imagine ending your day by sitting down with a journal, writing about the challenges you faced, the decisions you made, and the emotions you felt. This isn't about dwelling on mistakes or reliving frustrations. It's about gaining clarity. When you take the time to reflect, you begin to see patterns in your behavior, uncover hidden biases, and identify areas where you can grow. For example, maybe you notice that you tend to react defensively in certain situations, or that you've been neglecting a goal that matters to you. These insights become the foundation for meaningful change. A practical example might be reflecting on a tough conversation with a colleague. Instead of replaying the frustration in your mind, you could write about what triggered your emotions, how you responded, and how you might handle it differently next time. This kind of reflection doesn't just help you process the experience, it equips you with tools to navigate similar situations in the future. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you can see the path forward more clearly. But self-reflection isn't just about identifying flaws, it's also about celebrating growth. Take a moment to acknowledge the small victories, the times you stayed calm under pressure, the moments you chose kindness over anger, or the steps you took toward a long-term goal. By balancing honest assessment with self-compassion, you create a practice that's both empowering and sustainable. The Stoics understood that self-reflection is a form of self-respect, a way to honor your journey and commit to becoming the best version of yourself. So, what's one lesson you've learned from reflecting on your challenges? Maybe it's the importance of patience, the value of listening, or the power of persistence. Whatever it is, take a moment to consider how that lesson could shape your actions tomorrow. Self-reflection isn't just a Stoic practice, it's a gift you give yourself, a way to turn every experience, good or bad, into an opportunity for growth. By making it a daily habit, you're not just surviving life's ups and downs, you're thriving through them, one insight at a time. Stoics teach us that fear is not the enemy, inaction is. While many of us see fear as something to avoid, the Stoics viewed it as a powerful signal, a call to action rather than a reason to retreat. Fear, in their eyes, isn't something to suppress or ignore. It's a natural part of life that can be harnessed as fuel for growth. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most enduring voices, once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." His words remind us that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward despite it. By reframing fear as a motivator, we transform it from a barrier into a bridge, leading us toward greater confidence and resilience. Think about a fear that's been holding you back. Maybe it's the fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown. For many, the instinct is to avoid these feelings altogether, but the Stoics would argue that this avoidance only strengthens their grip. Instead, they encourage us to lean into fear, to use it as a guidepost pointing us toward the areas where we need to grow. When you face a fear head-on, you're not just overcoming it, you're building the mental muscle to handle whatever comes next. It's like standing at the edge of a diving board. The fear of jumping doesn't disappear, but when you take that leap, you prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you thought. Consider a practical example: starting a new business. The fear of failure might feel overwhelming, but what if you used that fear as motivation? Instead of letting it paralyze you, you could channel it into action, researching your market, creating a business plan, or reaching out to potential mentors. Each step you take reduces the power of the fear and builds your confidence. The Stoics believe that action is the antidote to fear. The more you act, the less intimidating the fear becomes, and the more you realize that you're capable of handling challenges you once thought insurmountable. So, what's one fear you can turn into action today? It doesn't have to be something monumental. It could be as simple as having a difficult conversation, applying for a job, or trying something new. Start small, but start. The Stoic approach isn't about eliminating fear. It's about embracing it as a teacher and a motivator. When you choose to act despite your fear, you're not just moving toward your goals, you're building the courage to face whatever comes next. Fear doesn't have to be the end of the story. With the Stoic mindset, it can become the beginning of a stronger, braver you. Stoics believe that simplicity is the path to peace. In a world filled with endless distractions and constant demands, they teach us that less is often more. By stripping away the unnecessary, we create space for clarity, focus, and ultimately, a deeper sense of contentment. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most eloquent voices, captured this idea perfectly when he said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." His words remind us that true wealth isn't measured by what we own, but by what we no longer need. Simplicity, then, becomes a form of freedom, a way to lighten the load and find peace in the essentials. One practical way to embrace this Stoic principle is by decluttering your environment. Think about your workspace or living area. Are there items scattered around that serve no real purpose? Papers you don't need, gadgets you rarely use, or clothes you no longer wear. Each of these things, however small, can act as a mental distraction, pulling your focus away from what truly matters. By clearing out the physical clutter, you're not just tidying up, you're creating a space that supports clarity and intentionality. It's like clearing a foggy window. Suddenly, you can see more clearly and think more freely. But simplicity isn't just about physical possessions. It's also about simplifying your commitments and routines. How many times have you said yes to something out of obligation, only to feel drained and overstretched later? The Stoics would encourage you to pause and ask, does this align with my values? Does it bring me closer to my goals? By saying no to what doesn't truly matter, you create room for what does, whether it's spending time with loved ones, pursuing a passion, or simply enjoying a quiet moment of reflection. Simplicity, in this sense, becomes a way to reclaim your time and energy. So, what's one area of your life you can simplify? Maybe it's your schedule, your digital habits, or even your relationships. Take a moment to consider what's weighing you down and what you can let go of. The Stoic practice of simplicity isn't about deprivation, it's about liberation. By choosing to live with less, you open yourself up to more peace, more focus, and more joy. In a world that constantly tells us to want more, the Stoics offer a timeless reminder. Sometimes the key to happiness lies not in adding, but in subtracting. Stoics remind us that challenges are small in the grand scheme of things. It's easy to get caught up in the intensity of a moment, feeling like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. But when you step back and zoom out, you begin to see that most obstacles are just tiny blips in the vast timeline of your life. This practice of gaining perspective is one of the most powerful tools in the Stoic toolkit. It's about shifting your focus from the immediate to the eternal, from the temporary to the timeless. Marcus Aurelius captured this beautifully when he wrote, "Think of the universe as one living being." His words invite us to see ourselves as part of something much larger, where individual struggles lose their overwhelming power and become manageable pieces of a greater whole. Imagine you're facing a career setback, a project that didn't go as planned, or a job you didn't get. In the moment, it feels like a monumental failure, something that could define your entire future. But when you zoom out, you start to see it differently. This setback isn't the end of your story, it's just one chapter. Think about where you were 5 years ago. The challenges you faced then probably felt just as insurmountable, yet here you are, stronger and wiser because of them. The Stoic practice of perspective reminds us that life is a series of ups and downs, and what feels like a disaster today might be a stepping stone tomorrow. By seeing your struggles in the context of your entire journey, you reduce their emotional weight and open yourself to resilience and growth. This principle isn't just about career challenges, it applies to every area of life. Consider a personal conflict, like a disagreement with a friend or family member. In the heat of the moment, emotions can cloud your judgment, making the issue feel bigger than it really is. But when you step back, you realize this argument is just one moment in a long relationship. By focusing on the bigger picture, the love, the shared history, the mutual respect, you can approach the situation with more patience and understanding. Perspective softens the edges of conflict, turning it into an opportunity for connection rather than division. So, how can you gain perspective on your current challenge? Start by asking yourself, will this matter in a year, in 5 years? Then take it a step further. How does this fit into the larger story of my life? These questions shift your focus from the immediate struggle to the long-term journey, helping you see the challenge as a small part of a much bigger picture. The Stoic practice of zooming out doesn't minimize your pain, it empowers you to navigate it with clarity and calm. By embracing this perspective, you transform adversity from a source of overwhelm into a catalyst for resilience. After all, when you see the bigger picture, even the toughest moments become opportunities to grow. Stoics teach us that greatness is built through patience and persistence. It's not about quick wins or overnight success, it's about steady, consistent effort over time. The Stoics understood that true achievement comes from small, deliberate actions repeated day after day, even when progress feels slow or invisible. As Epictetus once said, no great thing is created suddenly. His words remind us that the most meaningful accomplishments in life, whether personal growth, professional success, or deeper relationships, are the result of unwavering dedication, not fleeting bursts of energy. Think about a long-term goal you've set for yourself. Maybe it's learning a new skill, building a business, or improving your health. At first, the path forward might seem daunting, even impossible. But the Stoics would encourage you to focus not on the end result, but on the daily steps that lead you there. It's like planting a tree. You don't stand over it, demanding it grow faster. Instead, you water it, give it sunlight, and trust that with time it will flourish. Patience and persistence are the water and sunlight of your goals. They nourish the process even when the results aren't immediately visible. Consider the example of an aspiring writer. Writing a book can feel like an overwhelming task, especially when the first draft is messy and the ideas don't flow as smoothly as you'd hoped. But a Stoic approach would involve committing to write a little each day, even if it's just a few hundred words. Over time, those small efforts add up. What began as a jumble of thoughts gradually becomes a coherent story, simply because you showed up consistently. This is the power of persistence. It turns the impossible into the inevitable. So, what's one goal you can commit to pursuing patiently? It doesn't have to be grand or life-changing. It could be as simple as reading a chapter of a book every night, practicing mindfulness for 10 minutes each morning, or saving a small amount of money each week. The key is to focus on the process, not the outcome. When you embrace patience and persistence, you're not just working toward a goal, you're building the kind of discipline and resilience that will serve you in every area of life. The Stoics remind us that the journey itself is where the growth happens, and every small step is a victory worth celebrating. Stoics believe that anger is a wasted emotion unless channeled wisely. It's a natural response to feeling wronged or frustrated, but left unchecked, it can cloud our judgment and lead to actions we later regret. The Stoic approach to anger isn't about suppressing it or pretending it doesn't exist, it's about transforming it into something constructive. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most insightful voices, put it this way: anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. His words remind us that anger, while powerful, often harms us more than the person or situation we're upset with. The key lies in understanding its roots and using that energy to foster growth rather than destruction. So, how do we turn anger into understanding? It starts with recognizing that anger is often a mask for deeper emotions, hurt, fear, or a sense of injustice. When someone cuts you off in traffic, for example, your immediate reaction might be frustration or rage. But beneath that anger could be a fear of losing control or a feeling of being disrespected. By pausing to identify what's really driving your emotions, you gain clarity. This self-awareness allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, turning a moment of conflict into an opportunity for growth. Consider a situation at work where a colleague takes credit for your idea. The initial surge of anger might make you want to confront them immediately or even lash out. But a Stoic approach would involve taking a step back. Ask yourself, what's really bothering me here? Is it the lack of recognition, or is it a deeper concern about being undervalued? By understanding the root of your anger, you can address the issue more effectively. Perhaps you use that energy to advocate for yourself in a calm, assertive way, or to strengthen your communication with your team to prevent similar situations in the future. Anger, when channeled wisely, becomes a catalyst for positive change rather than a source of conflict. The Stoics also remind us that anger often stems from unmet expectations. When we expect others to act a certain way and they don't, it's easy to feel frustrated or betrayed. But by adjusting our expectations and focusing on what we can control, our own actions and reactions, we free ourselves from the emotional roller coaster. This doesn't mean accepting mistreatment or injustice. It means choosing how to respond in a way that aligns with our values and long-term goals. So, what's one situation where you can turn anger into understanding? Maybe it's a disagreement with a loved one, a frustrating interaction with a stranger, or even an internal struggle with self-criticism. The next time anger arises, take a moment to pause and reflect. What's really behind it? How can you use that energy to create something meaningful or constructive? By reframing anger as a tool for growth rather than a force to be feared, you not only diffuse its power but also unlock new opportunities for connection and self-improvement. This is the Stoic way, transforming a destructive emotion into a source of strength and understanding. Stoics remind us that success is fleeting, humility is eternal. In a world that often celebrates achievement with fanfare and self-promotion, the Stoic approach offers a refreshing counterpoint, staying grounded no matter how high you rise. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, once reflected, "You will find no one who is happy with what he has." His words highlight a profound truth that chasing external validation or clinging to accomplishments can never bring lasting fulfillment. True contentment comes not from what we achieve, but from how we carry ourselves in both victory and defeat. Humility, then, becomes the anchor that keeps us steady, reminding us of our shared humanity and the impermanence of all things. At its core, humility is about perspective. It's recognizing that no matter how much we accomplish, we're still part of a larger whole, connected to others and to the natural ebb and flow of life. This mindset doesn't diminish our achievements, it simply places them in context. Think about a time when you reached a major milestone, like landing a dream job or completing a challenging project. In that moment, it's easy to feel a surge of pride, and rightfully so. But the Stoics would encourage you to pause and reflect. What does this success really mean? How does it contribute to your growth or to the well-being of others? By asking these questions, you shift the focus from external validation to internal alignment, ensuring that your achievements nurture your character rather than inflate your ego. A practical example of this could be winning an award or receiving public recognition. While it's natural to feel proud, a Stoic approach would involve acknowledging the efforts of those who supported you along the way: your team, your mentors, or even the circumstances that made your success possible. This practice of gratitude and recognition not only keeps you grounded but also strengthens your relationships and fosters a sense of community. Humility isn't about downplaying your accomplishments. It's about recognizing that no success is achieved in isolation. So, how can you practice humility in your next success? Start by reflecting on the roles others played in helping you get there. Consider how you can use your achievements to lift others up, whether it's by mentoring someone, sharing your knowledge, or simply expressing gratitude. And most importantly, remind yourself that success, like all things, is temporary. By staying humble, you ensure that your achievements don't define you. They refine you, shaping you into someone who values growth, connection, and purpose over fleeting accolades. This is the Stoic way, turning success into an opportunity for deeper reflection and meaningful contribution, rather than a reason for self-congratulation. Stoics teach us that adversity connects us to the human experience. When we face challenges, we're not just navigating our own struggles, we're stepping into a shared journey that binds us to others. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most profound thinkers, once wrote, "We are all bound by the same fate." His words remind us that no matter how unique our circumstances may feel, the experience of hardship is universal. It's in these moments of difficulty that we discover a deeper sense of empathy, realizing that our struggles are not so different from those of the people around us. Empathy grows when we recognize that everyone carries their own burdens. Think about a time when you faced a personal challenge, perhaps a loss, a failure, or a moment of uncertainty. In that moment, you are likely more attuned to the struggles of others, more willing to listen, and more compassionate in your responses. This is the power of adversity. It softens the edges of our ego and opens our hearts to the experiences of those around us. When we've walked through difficulty ourselves, we're better equipped to understand and support others on their own journeys. Consider the example of someone who has battled a health issue. After experiencing the fear, frustration, and vulnerability that comes with illness, they might find themselves more compassionate toward others facing similar challenges. They're not just offering sympathy, they're offering understanding born from shared experience. This kind of empathy isn't limited to health struggles. It applies to any adversity, whether it's financial hardship, relationship conflicts, or professional setbacks. Each challenge we face becomes a bridge connecting us to others who have walked similar paths. So, how can your challenges help you connect with others? Reflect on a recent difficulty in your life. What did it teach you about resilience, patience, or vulnerability? Now, think about someone else who might be going through something similar. How can your experience help you offer support, not just as a bystander, but as someone who truly understands? The Stoic practice of empathy isn't just about feeling for others. It's about using your own struggles to uplift and empower those around you. When we turn adversity into empathy, we transform our pain into purpose, creating a ripple effect of compassion that strengthens not just ourselves, but our communities as well. Stoics believe that suffering is not meaningless, it's a path to growth. While pain and hardship are inevitable parts of life, the Stoic approach invites us to see them as more than just obstacles. They're opportunities to uncover deeper purpose and meaning. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most profound teachers, once said, "Suffering arises from trying to control what is uncontrollable." His words remind us that much of our pain comes from resisting the natural flow of life. When we stop fighting against what we can't change and instead seek to understand its role in our journey, suffering transforms from a source of despair into a catalyst for growth. At its core, finding meaning in suffering is about reframing our perspective. It's not about denying the pain or pretending it doesn't hurt. It's about asking, what can this teach me? How can this shape me into someone stronger, wiser, or more compassionate? This mindset shift doesn't erase the difficulty, but it does give us a way to navigate it with purpose. Think of it like forging metal. The heat and pressure are intense, but they're also what make the material stronger and more resilient. In the same way, the challenges we face can refine our character, helping us uncover strengths we never knew we had. Consider the example of someone who experiences a personal loss, like the death of a loved one. The grief can feel overwhelming, but through the Stoic lens, this pain becomes a call to action. Perhaps it inspires them to honor their loved one's memory by starting a foundation, volunteering, or simply living in a way that reflects the values they shared. By finding meaning in their suffering, they transform it into a force for good, not just for themselves but for others as well. This is the essence of the Stoic approach, turning pain into purpose, not by ignoring it, but by allowing it to shape us in profound and meaningful ways. So, what meaning can you find in your current suffering? Is there a lesson it's trying to teach you, a strength it's helping you build, or a way it might inspire you to help others? The Stoics remind us that suffering, while painful, is never wasted when we use it as a tool for growth. By seeking meaning in our struggles, we not only endure them, we transcend them, discovering a deeper sense of purpose and connection along the way. Through this lens, even the darkest moments can become a source of light, guiding us toward a more resilient and purposeful life. Stoics teach us that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action in spite of it. This simple yet profound idea shifts the way we think about bravery. It's not about being fearless, it's about moving forward even when fear is present. The Stoics believed that courage is a muscle, one that grows stronger each time we choose to act despite our doubts or anxieties. Marcus Aurelius once observed, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In other words, our actions shape who we become. When we act with courage, even in small ways, we begin to transform fear from a barrier into a stepping stone. Courage, in the Stoic sense, isn't about grand gestures or heroic feats. It's about the everyday choices that build resilience and confidence. Think about a time when you felt afraid to speak up, maybe in a meeting, in a relationship, or even just expressing an opinion to a friend. The fear of judgment or rejection can be paralyzing, but the Stoics would argue that the act of speaking up despite that fear is where true courage lies. It's not about the outcome, whether you're praised or criticized. It's about the act itself. Each time you face that fear, you're not just overcoming a momentary hesitation, you're training yourself to handle bigger challenges with greater ease. Consider a practical example: public speaking. For many, the thought of standing in front of an audience is terrifying. But what if you reframed that fear as an opportunity? Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, you could focus on what you have to offer. The Stoics believed that fear often stems from focusing on external outcomes, what others will think, whether you'll succeed or fail. But when you shift your attention to your own effort and intention, fear loses its grip. By stepping onto that stage despite your nerves, you're not just delivering a speech, you're building the courage to face future challenges with confidence. So, what's one fear you can face with courage today? It doesn't have to be something monumental. It could be as simple as having a difficult conversation, trying something new, or standing up for what you believe in. The key is to take that first step, however small it may feel. Every act of courage, no matter how minor it seems, is a victory. It's a reminder that fear doesn't have to control you. It can be the very thing that propels you forward. The Stoics remind us that courage isn't about erasing fear. It's about using it as fuel to become the person you're meant to be. When you act despite fear, you're not just overcoming a challenge, you're transforming it into a source of strength. Stoics believe that regret is only useful if it leads to wisdom. While many of us see regret as a weight to carry, a reminder of what went wrong, the Stoics viewed it as a tool for growth. Rather than dwelling on past mistakes, they encouraged us to reflect on them with clarity and purpose, extracting lessons that could guide us toward better decisions in the future. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most insightful voices, once observed, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." His words remind us that regret often grows larger in our minds than it needs to be. By shifting our focus from the pain of the past to the potential for growth, we transform regret from a burden into a teacher. At its core, Stoic regret is about self-awareness. It's not about punishing yourself for what you did wrong, but about understanding why it happened and how you can improve. Think about a time when you made a decision you later regretted. Perhaps you spoke too harshly, missed an opportunity, or neglected something important. Instead of replaying the moment with guilt or shame, the Stoics would encourage you to ask, "What can I learn from this?" This shift in perspective turns regret into a mirror, reflecting not just what went wrong, but how you can grow from it. It's not about erasing the past, it's about shaping the future. Consider a practical example. Imagine you made a financial mistake, like overspending or making a poor investment. The regret might feel overwhelming, but a Stoic approach would involve reflecting on the choices that led to that outcome. What habits or assumptions contributed to the mistake? How can you adjust your approach to avoid repeating it? By asking these questions, you're not just processing the regret, you're using it to build better financial habits and decision-making skills. Regret, in this sense, becomes a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. The Stoics also remind us that regret often stems from unmet expectations, both of ourselves and others. When we expect perfection and fall short, it's easy to spiral into self-criticism. But by adjusting those expectations and focusing on progress rather than perfection, we free ourselves from the cycle of guilt. This doesn't mean ignoring mistakes. It means viewing them as opportunities to refine our character and align our actions with our values. As Seneca wisely noted, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity." In the same way, no one grows without confronting their regrets. So, what's one regret you can turn into wisdom? Take a moment to reflect on a past decision or action that still weighs on you. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, ask yourself, What did this teach me? How can I use this lesson to make better choices moving forward? By reframing regret as a tool for growth, you transform it from a source of pain into a path towards self-improvement. The Stoics teach us that the past is not a prison, it's a classroom. When we approach regret with curiosity and courage, we unlock its potential to guide us toward a wiser, more resilient future. Stoics remind us that challenges are gifts in disguise. It's easy to see adversity as something to avoid, but the Stoic philosophy invites us to view it through a different lens, as an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most profound teachers, once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." His words remind us that when we find meaning in our struggles, we transform them from burdens into blessings. Gratitude, in this sense, isn't about denying the difficulty of a situation. It's about recognizing the hidden value within it. Think about a difficult relationship, whether with a family member, a friend, or a colleague. At the time, the conflict or tension might feel overwhelming, even unbearable. But looking back, you might realize how much that experience taught you about patience, about boundaries, or even about your own capacity for forgiveness. That's the power of gratitude in adversity. It doesn't erase the pain, but it allows you to see the lessons and strength you've gained from it. By being grateful for the challenge, you shift your focus from what went wrong to what you've gained, a perspective that fosters resilience and growth. Gratitude also helps us reframe our relationship with hardship. Instead of seeing challenges as random or unfair, we begin to see them as opportunities to practice virtues like courage, perseverance, and compassion. It's like lifting weights. The resistance is what builds the muscle. In the same way, the resistance we face in life builds our character. When we practice gratitude for challenges, we're not just enduring them, we're embracing them as essential parts of our journey. So, what's one challenge you can be grateful for today? Maybe it's a recent setback at work that pushed you to develop new skills, or a health issue that taught you to prioritize self-care. Take a moment to reflect on the lessons and strengths that have come from your struggles. How have they shaped you? What have they revealed about your resilience and capacity to grow? By finding gratitude in adversity, you're not just surviving life's challenges, you're thriving because of them. The Stoic practice of gratitude reminds us that every obstacle, no matter how difficult, carries the potential to make us stronger, wiser, and more grounded. And that's a gift worth embracing. As we wrap up our exploration of the 25 ways Stoics turn challenges into opportunities, one thing becomes abundantly clear: adversity is not the enemy, it's the teacher. Each obstacle, whether big or small, carries within it the potential for growth, resilience, and transformation. From embracing the present moment to practicing gratitude, from focusing on what we can control to finding meaning in suffering, the Stoic philosophy offers a roadmap for navigating life's inevitable ups and downs with grace and purpose. These principles are not just abstract ideas, they're practical tools for living a more intentional and fulfilling life. By seeing challenges as opportunities, we shift our perspective from victimhood to empowerment. We learn to meet difficulty with courage, to find strength in vulnerability, and to cultivate a mindset that thrives not in spite of adversity, but because of it. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "The universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it." This powerful reminder invites us to take ownership of our mindset, to shape our experiences not by what happens to us, but by how we choose to respond. So, what's one challenge in your life that you can begin to see as an opportunity? Whether it's a personal setback, a professional hurdle, or simply the daily stresses of life, consider how you might apply the Stoic principles we've explored. How can you turn this obstacle into a stepping stone? How can you use it to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient? The Stoics teach us that challenges are not roadblocks, they're invitations to become the best version of ourselves. As you reflect on these ideas, I'd love to hear your thoughts. How have you turned challenges into opportunities in your own life? What Stoic principles resonate most with you? Share your insights in the comments below. Your story might inspire someone else on their journey. And if you found value in this video, consider subscribing for more Stoic wisdom and practical tools to help you live a life of purpose and resilience. Together, let's embrace the lessons of adversity and turn every challenge into a chance to grow. After all, as the Stoics remind us, the obstacle is the